In today's video, we're using this absolutely ridiculous setup to compare the GoPro Hero 13 to the DJI Action 5. So the GoPro Hero 13 versus the DJI Action 5 Pro. Which one should you get in 2025? Let's compare the two. Quickly looking at the two action cameras, the GoPro Hero 13 is a little bit taller and bigger than the Action 5, and it weighs a total of 158 grams, whereas the Action 5 weighs 146 grams. Not a dramatic difference, you're not gonna notice that, but there is a little bit of a size difference here. The GoPro Hero 13 has waterproof capability up to 10 meters. As well, in the GoPro Hero 13, you have a new feature where you can remove the default lens and add different modded lenses so that you can get this really ultra wide look or macro lenses, or in the future they plan to release even an anamorphic lens. The downside of these mod lenses that you can buy for the Hero 13 is the fact that they cost $100. So if you end up getting 3 of the lenses, you're pretty much paying the same price for the lenses as the action camera itself. So that's a little bit inconvenient. On the bottom of the GoPro Hero 13, we have the famous GoPro fingers. As well, we do have a 1/4 inch mount for tripods, which is really nice feature. The Hero 13 as well does support the quick magnetic release plates, but they're not included in the package, which means you gotta buy that separately as well, which is again, a little bit of an inconvenience. Now, like I said, the Action 5 is a little bit smaller and weighs only 146 grams. The Action 5 has a waterproof capability of 20 meters, which is handy if you are into underwater sports, photography, filmmaking, whatever it is, under the waters, you're good to go with the Action 5. As well, a really unique feature in the Action 5 is that it has 47 gigabytes of internal memory, which is gonna allow you to film around 1 to 2 hours of footage at 4K. I really appreciate DJI putting the internal memory into the action camera, because we all know how frustrating it is when you go to a shoot and then you realize you forgot the memory card. I honestly don't know why camera companies don't just put in every single camera, even my Sony a7S III. I wish it had some sort of internal memory just to save you in those moments where you forgot your memory cards. The Action 5 comes with a quick magnetic release plate, which is always appreciated when you get free accessories. As well, there's a Action 5 case which allows you to mount with the quick release plate either landscape or vertical, which is very handy as a content creator who needs to film both landscape and portrait. This case as well does come free with the Action 5. Both the Hero 13 and the Action 5 have front screens, so you can see what you're filming and how your composition exposure is looking like. The downside is that on the GoPro Hero 13, it's not touch enabled, so you can just monitor what the footage is looking like, but you can't control, which is always annoying because you gotta turn around and go back to the back and change the settings. Whereas with the Action 5, for example, if you're vlogging, you can then just change the settings right here with the front screen. When it comes to sensors, the Action 5 has a little bit bigger sensor than the GoPro 13. The Action 5 has a 1/1/3 inch CMOS sensor, while the GoPro 13 has a 1/1.9 inch sensor. This allows the Action 5 to perform better in low light circumstances because it's got a bigger sensor to get in that light. Not to mention it has night mode, which we're gonna talk more about later. Even though the GoPro Hero 13 does have a smaller sensor, it does have this mode where you can film an 8:7 ratio, allowing you the flexibility in post then to decide whether you want landscape or vertical, and that is a very handy feature in the GoPro Hero 13. There are some limitations though to the 8:7 ratio. There's no horizon balance when you're shooting with it. As well, you're limited to the wide field of view, and you can only go up to 60 frames per second, not any higher. Before we jump into the most important part of the review, checking out the video quality and resolution of the Action 5 and the Hero 13, I want to talk about this episode's sponsor, and that's Motion VFX. I don't know if you noticed, but there was some pretty epic effects that I was using in those intro shots of the footage from the Action 5 and the GoPro Hero 13, and those were all done with the plugins at Motion VFX, specifically the Power Tools collection that you can now find in Design Studio. Power Tools is a collection of advanced tracker-based tools, And they're designed to do the heavy lifting for you because they help deliver you epic looking effects in your videos with ease. Each effect has its own tracker, allowing you to lock in your subject. In the intro sequence, I use the glow and raise overlay effects, as well as different camera movement effects to give those really unique looks to the footage. Usually these kind of effects and the tracking that you're able to do with these plugins would take you really long to do and be very challenging. But with motion effects, they just make it so simple. It's literally drag and drop, change the length and duration of the plugins. You can animate in or animate out or turn those off, change the fonts, the colors to make it really unique to the style that you want, which is super important. There's nothing worse than buying a motion graphic template or plugin that's just limited and you can't customize it and it doesn't make you feel like it's your own. Both motion VFX as plugins, I've always felt like you can make it stylized in a way that feels like it's your own. The Power Tools collection as well has these practical tools that you can just use in everyday life situations. For example, if you need to blur out or pixelate someone's face or license plate, there's a tracker for that, and that's just gonna save you a whole bunch of time and energy. And this is just one of the many collections that you can find in Design Studio. Design Studio Professional costs you 29 euros a month, which is super affordable considering what you're getting access to. With Design Studio, you're gonna get over 3,600 different design elements, M captions to add quickly subtitles to your videos, which is super important, especially in short form content, and over 750 trackable elements. Things that in the past would be so hard and time consuming to do, now literally just drag and drop, track, and you're ready to go. So if you're interested in taking your videos to the next level, I would highly recommend checking out Design Studio. Thanks again, Motion Effects, for partnering and supporting this channel. Now back to the video quality and resolution of both the Hero 13 and the Action 5. The Hero 13 can film up to 5.3K at 60 frames per second, whereas the Action 5 can only film up to 4K resolution. Both cameras can film up to 120 frames per second at 4K, meaning both action cameras have got you covered when it comes to slow motion footage. Both the Hero 13 and the DJI Action 5 had log picture profiles. The GoPro has the traditional GoPro log, whereas then the Action 5 has the D-Log M 10-bit. This allows you to have flexibility in post when it comes to color grading because you're gonna get a really nice flat picture profile and then you can color correct it and then grade it into the direction that you would like. When it comes to image quality, comparing the two cameras' footage, I feel like the Action 5 is doing a lot better when it comes to dynamic range. The shadows and the skin tones are a little bit lifted, give you more flexibility and more information. And as well in the highlights, you notice that there's less information in the highlights with the GoPro Hero 13 than they are with the Action 5, which is really important. You can right away tell a poor quality camera when the highlights are blown out, and you're not getting that as much with the Action 5. I also noticed that the GoPro Hero 13 has a lot more flares that are very noticeable than the Action 5. Some people might like those flares, but some people might be annoyed by having flares in your shot. When it comes to field of view distortion test, I feel like the GoPro Hero 13 has more of a distorted look than the Action 5, and it's most likely the fact that the GoPro Hero 13 is a little bit wider than the Action 5. For me personally, I like having less distortion and I don't need the super ultra wide view, but I totally understand if you are using the action cameras for actually sports rather than just vlogging and filming, then you do want to have that super wide view. But if you're just filming vlogging shots, for example, with the GoPro Hero 13 or the Action 5, then I just like to use the linear mode, which has the least amount of distortion. When it comes to both these action cameras, they both have a 155-degree wide field of view, but then the GoPro Hero 13 as well offers a 100-degree super view, which is slightly wider than DJI's widest field of view at 155 degrees. The downside, of course, of a 170-degree field of view is that it's just very distorted, but I think people understand that because they want to have that ultra-wide look for their shot. And both action cameras have a linear mode, which allows you to have the least amount of distortion in the shot. When it comes to stabilization, I think both cameras are great. I was literally just filming handheld, walking, no gimbals, and the shots look really stabilized and nice. Both cameras as well have horizon balance, but the Action 5 is limited to how many degrees of horizon balance you have. It only allows 45 degrees of horizon balance at 4K, and you'd have to go down to 2.7K to get 360 horizon balance, whereas the GoPro 13 has 360 even at 4K. One downside of action cameras and stabilization is that if you're filming in low light, there is this motion blur jitter because the shutter speed is just going down so low and it doesn't look very good. Using the night mode in the Action 5 helps with this jitter motion blur, so I'd highly recommend turning that on if you're filming in low light situations. Or another solution is by manually selecting a higher shutter speed, but the problem with this is that you're gonna lose light, and again, it's gonna be a dark image. When it comes to battery life, the Action 5 lasts a lot longer than the GoPro Hero 13. The Hero 13 at 4K 20 frames per second lasts 1 hour and 58 minutes. And then at 4K 60 frames per second, 1 hour and 34 minutes. Whereas the Action 5 at 4K 24 frames per second can last up to 3 hours. And then at 4K 60 frames, it can last up to 1 hour and 58 minutes. Batteries can be replaced in both cameras, so it's really no problem. I do like the fact that the Action 5 comes with this charging hub where you can put 3 batteries all at once, meaning you can just put it to charge, leave it be, go do other things, then come back and all of them are charged for you. The charging hub as well can be used as an external battery if you ever need to charge, for example, your phone, which is very handy with the Action 5. When it comes to audio, both cameras have an internal microphone and it's decent.
This is the internal mic check. How does the audio sound? This is with the Action 5, and here is with the GoPro Hero 13. I hope this is picking up these ambient sounds because we're in the forest right now and there's birds singing and it's pretty dang nice out right now. Sun is shining over there. We're not in a forest though, so can't hear much. How's this internal mic?
I probably wouldn't use it because nowadays it's very easy just to buy an external wireless microphone like the DJI Mic 2, which can automatically just connect to both cameras and give you nice high quality audio, and as well the flexibility to then be farther away from the camera because you can walk 10, 15 meters away and still get the same audio quality even though you're farther away. Whereas if you're just using the internal microphone, you're kind of at the, mercy of just how close you can hold it to you and get that audio. When it comes to overheating, the Action 5, when filming at 4K 24 or 60 frames per second, it couldn't overheat. I did get some warnings at around 1 hour and 30 minutes, but still it didn't stop filming. With the GoPro Hero 13, this was the first time that it did pass the overheating test when it came to 4K 24 frames per second. It was super hot when filming with it that long, and then at 4K 60 frames per second, it overheated at 47 minutes and stopped filming. So those are some things to take into mind with the GoPro Hero 13. Now, when it comes to price and value, both these action cameras are priced at $329. Surprise, surprise, these two are competing with each other. So which camera do I think gives you more bang for the buck? And in my opinion, I feel like the Action 5 is actually now outperforming the GoPro Hero 13, which is just insane to think because GoPro has been making action cameras for over 20 years, whereas DJI has only been making action cameras for the last 7 years. In my opinion, the Action 5 from a video quality perspective just looks better. You have more information in the highlights and in the shadows. As well, it has less of that action camera digital look. I feel like you can get really nice cinematic looking footage with the Action 5. As well, because the Action 5 does have night mode, it performs way better in low light, which is really important because we all know with action cameras, once you start running out of light, the quality just drops very quickly. And last, because I would use an action camera not for action sports, but for vlogging, I really love the fact that I can use the front screen to change my settings and as well to be able to monitor my shots. So that's why in 2025, I actually think the Action 5 is worth getting over the GoPro Hero 13. Of course, both have pros and cons and might have features that you like. For example, if you want to have, the versatility of different lenses, then maybe you would go with the GoPro Hero 13. But if you don't see that feature, for example, being that helpful, then, let's go with the Action 5. Personally, I would love to hear what do you guys think about the Action 5 and the Hero 13. Which one would you buy or which one do you own right now and why? Write down in the comments below. And again, remember, if you're interested in getting high quality effects and motion graphic templates for your videos, I would highly recommend checking out Design Studio from Motion VFX. Use the link in my description and use the code to save some money.